And when we have this serious corroborated allegation against Graham Platner, but you have dozens of accusations against Donald Trump, one of them was litigated, you have a court finding against him, isn't that significant more weight behind accusations against Donald Trump than there even is against Graham Platner? How can one be disqualifying but not both?
Well, I mean, the president would say there isn't serious corroboration on these accusations against him.
Okay, for the longest time, I've been saying the exact same thing. If you're going to hold one politician accountable, then you have to hold all politicians to the same standard. You can't have one set of rules for Democrats and another set of rules for Republicans. Well, finally, someone said it. In this clip, independent commentator Brad Palumbo absolutely tears into Republicans over what he sees as the glaring double standard between how they're treating Graham Platner and how they've treated Donald Trump. Whether you agree with Brad or not, he asks some questions that Republicans on the panel really struggle to answer. And that's what makes this debate so interesting. Now, if you're new here, I'm Bradley Hostin, and this is The Bradley Hostin Show. Let me know where you're watching from in the comments below. I need you guys to stick with me until the very end, because after we watch this clip, I want to explain why I think this double standard is becoming one of the biggest problems in American politics, and why consistency matters no matter which party you support. As usual, let's watch the clip, and then I'll give you guys my thoughts afterwards.
Breaking news tonight, Graham Platner is suspending his bid for Maine Senate, clearing the way for Democrats to choose a new candidate in one of the most consequential races that could decide who controls the chamber in November. Platner made the announcement just days after facing accusations of rape, which he denies.
We are suspending campaign operations. This is incredibly difficult because I know that some will think it's an admission of guilt, and it most certainly is not. We're not doing it because of the allegations. We're doing it because of the structures that are being taken away from us by those in power. And I also feel an immense amount of responsibility to everyone who has worked so hard to get us to where we are.
Platner had been under immense pressure to drop out as his initial support crumbled. We're told behind the scenes, Platner worked with staffers to navigate that exit. Maine's Democratic Party says it's approved a plan to hold a nominating convention to replace Platner, and several candidates are already jockeying to try to fill that spot. Brad Palumbo joins us at the table. Several candidates hitting the airwaves tonight. They've already declared. But what do you make of how Graham Platner exited and how long it took him to
Well, I just got my little violin out for him. You got to feel so bad. He's playing the victim. It was really probably AIPAC that made him get a Nazi tattoo, lie about it for years. It was probably AIPAC that made him allegedly physically abuse a Republican woman he used to date. And it was probably AIPAC or the establishment or something that made this latest accusation. I think he's disgraceful. I genuinely think that's one of the worst, I don't even know, announcement videos I've ever seen. No accountability, no reflection, just a weird combination of backing away, but also denying the allegation, not even standing on business. This whole thing is such a black eye for the Democratic Party writ large, though. It's not just him. They're doing the right thing eventually. But where was this energy when Lindsay Fifield came forward? Yes, she's a Republican operative. Doesn't mean she couldn't be a victim. She had contemporaneous corroboration that Graham Platner, that she said at the time, physically abused her and locked her in a room. That should have been enough for the Believe Women Democrats. Zoran didn't withdraw the endorsement, didn't withdraw support. Bernie didn't. What are we doing here?
Yeah, look, I think that for some Democrats, for sure, it was enough. And that's what the civil war in the party was for a while there. And now the Bernie Sanderses of the world, the Ro Khannas, they have egg on their face, quite literally tonight. Because also there's a lack of contrition, for sure. He denies the allegations. He doesn't even really address the women that have come forward. Actually, I shouldn't say doesn't really. He did not address them in this 11-minute video.
He called them liars, basically, because he said everything's false.
Yes.
Yeah, he did. And, while he was being supported through all the things that Brad was talking about, Democrats like Ro Khanna and Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren and on and on and on and on, kept saying that, he's gotten over the rough patch in his life. He's apologized, Ro Khanna. He's on a redemption. He'll bring redemption to our nation. So they were willing to overlook or believe all of his explanations up until now. The only thing that changed is that he's no longer politically viable. His poll numbers went down to the point where it wasn't politically palatable to say that this redemption tour was going to be good for America anymore. I think you're right. He's never actually taken accountability for any of these things. The Democrats knew 98% of the things we knew about Graham Platner, we knew before the Democrats voted in the primary in Maine, and they still voted for him.
98% is a lot. Look, there were lots of Democrats who had some concerns. I definitely got yelled at for my concerns. So I want to be clear about that. I have to say, I'm not going to accept lectures from people who support Donald Trump, who was credibly accused by 13 women of sexual assault for listening to women. Okay. Other people can talk about this, but people who stand up for Trump every day as he's faced those assaults on any side should not be throwing egg at the Democratic Party. It is unfortunate. It is unfortunate that some people were willing to look past some of these things. But the Democratic Party has done something different than the Republican Party, which is they have, let me finish.
Sure.
They are finally acting against a candidate who is credibly accused. He's not found guilty, but credibly accused of assault. And that is very different than what has happened under Donald Trump's presidency and the Republican Party.
I was just going to ask, honestly, Scott, Peter, maybe you can answer this. As an independent, I really feel like everyone's abandoned any pretense of character in politics. But I do agree Republicans have been particularly egregious at that. And when we have this serious corroborated allegation against Graham Platner, but you have dozens of accusations against Donald Trump, one of them was litigated, you have a court finding against him, isn't that significant more weight behind accusations against Donald Trump than there even is against Graham Platner? How can one be disqualifying but not both?
Well, I mean, the president would say there isn't serious corroboration on these accusations against him.
There was a judgment.
That's what he would
There was a
argue.
judgment by a jury, a federal jury.
Yeah, and the person who accused him couldn't even remember when it happened.
Well,
okay, that's up to the jury.
That's the argument. That's the argument.
That's the jury.
At the same time, Trump identified the person who accused him as his ex-wife in those proceedings. But what do you say? I mean, you said what Trump would say. What would you say to the question that Brad had?
Look, my view is this. If there is serious allegations, if there's serious evidence or corroboration,
I mean,
everybody has to take responsibility
to
based
Brad's
on what they
point,
think.
those are serious allegations.
Okay,
And those are
how
serious
are the
allegations.
two
And then
women
if you
versus
add
13?
to the, look, I don't want to, it's not a, I think it is just a fair question that if you're going to be throwing the book at Graham Platner, not just about what the women have accused him of, but also about his own statements about women and rape, then you should at the very least have a look at Donald Trump. He's on video saying that he could grab women by their genitals.
Have we not played that video 15,000 times?
That's exactly the point. That's exactly the
And the
point.
American people have voted. I think,
Okay,
no,
well, then you should have-
I think that's what Graham
Hold
Platner
on.
is arguing, is that the main voters voted. And that's what Democrats said. Actually, no, that's not good enough. You are not a good enough candidate to hold this job, and that's a different position.
It was running even.
But
for God's
let me be
sake.
very clear
It's not
about
like
what
he was
happened.
losing.
There were
No, he's
both-
losing now. Believe
Jenny
me.
Well, he's losing
Rassicot and
now.
Lindsay Fifield. Jenny Rassicot and Lindsay Fifield. They both said, and some of this is going back several months, this guy is a creep. Do not trust him. He's bad.
There are
As they
13
were not
women who said
believed.
they were
and
assaulted by
talking
Trump.
about Graham
I
Platner
don't-
because he dropped out tonight. We've been talking about Donald Trump for the past 10
but you guys
No,
But
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
My point
You
is-
do not get to throw stones at a Democratic Party when you have stood
I'm
by
talking
Donald
about
Trump.
the media right now. I'm talking about the media and the fact that these women were not believed. It got to the point where Lindsay Fifield had to say he took off a condom while he was having sex with me. She had to leave. Give
It
those
is
details.
horrible. It is
You
horrible
have-
that
you have
had to
Jenny
happen.
Rassicot having
You
to
are
say
100%
he
right. It is
raped me.
horrible.
So,
He
Peter,
raped me.
It is
can't we-
That was
can't
what
we
it
talk about
took
how
for them
terrible
to
that
actually
is?
get
Yes.
believed.
The
The
Republican
Free
social
Beacon was
media
reporting all
accounts
this
are
months
trolling
ago.
people on X and saying, if you voted for Platner, you voted for a rapist, which in fairness to the Platner voters, they didn't know about this accusation when they voted for him in the primary. There's just something very tone deaf when you've just rallied around Trump on every single thing to be doing this
the
on the
hypocrisy of
Republican
it.
account.
But I hope this is, frankly, I hope this
Living in
is.
glass houses. It's politics.
Yeah, but
Come on,
glass houses are
You
right.
shouldn't do that yourself.
Eric Swalwell,
You
Tony
shouldn't do that
Gonzalez.
yourself.
We have these.
And
Henry got rid of them.
And that's why they're gone.
Good.
But this is a bigger problem. The bigger problem was the premise that a lot of people supported Graham Platner around of trying to come to terms with this idea of maybe the Democrats should run the Republican game plan. That was what I always rejected about this. Like, Democrats have to stop holding everybody up to a purity test. Okay, I agree to some extent, but Nazi tattoo
100%. I agree with you.
And then all of the rest of the signs all pointed to the fact that they were trying to run a bad play from the beginning.
All right, we're going to leave it there. We'll be right back.
So let me give you guys my thoughts, because this is exactly the conversation I've been waiting to see. First of all, no, Abby, don't move on yet. This is one of those moments where the discussion needed another 5 or 10 minutes because Brad Palumbo had Scott Jennings exactly where he wanted him. And here's what's so interesting. It wasn't a Democrat exposing the double standard. It was an independent. Brad Palumbo simply asked Republicans to apply the same standard to Donald Trump that they're now applying to Graham Platner, and the entire argument started to collapse. Because think about it. Republicans are saying that what Graham Platner allegedly did years ago should permanently disqualify him from public office? Okay, if that's your standard, then surely it has to apply to everybody? Donald Trump has faced criminal convictions, impeachments, civil judgments, and years of controversy. Yet many of the very same Republicans defending that standard for Graham Platner had absolutely no problem supporting Donald Trump for president. That's the inconsistency Brad exposed. And this is what frustrates me. Every time Donald Trump is brought up, the conversation suddenly changes. It's old news. The voters decided. Why are we still talking about Trump? But if that's the argument, then couldn't someone make the exact same point about Graham Platner? The people of Maine voted. Whether you like that outcome or not, that's what happened. Now, I want to make something very clear because I know some people will disagree with me. I'm not sitting here telling you Graham Platner is a good person. I'm not defending everything in his past. What I'm saying is that if you're going to have a standard, apply it consistently. Don't tell me character is everything when the candidate has a D next to their name. But the moment someone mentions Donald Trump, suddenly character becomes irrelevant because your side won the election. That's not consistency. That's politics. And I genuinely believe Democrats need to get better at forcing Republicans to defend those contradictions instead of letting them change the subject every single time. Because that's exactly what Brad Palumbo did here. He held up the mirror and simply asked, do the same rules apply? And there wasn't a convincing answer. But those are just my thoughts. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more news commentaries. I'll see you guys in the next one.